Okay, everybody. So, we're going to be talking about episode Twin Peaks, episode 11 of Twin Peaks. Where you are going, there is fire. And there are a lot of pretty wild things that happened. Um, it seemed like a character might have been acting out of character, but it's hard for us to know because they've only been in, I think, now 3 or 4 scenes. Shelley's daughter. Shelley's daughter basically loses it, and she's upset with her loser husband, actually, not boyfriend. They're married, and she just goes nuts. And there's this really ominous music playing and everything when we see this, and I was thinking, is she on that insane drug? So this comes back to there's this designer drug supposedly, and this guy named Red is, I believe, the main person in Twin Peaks that's selling it. But I have a feeling this designer drug is everywhere. And I think there's a number of things happening in this episode that they wanted us to see. Um, so she goes and she calls her mother, who is Shelley, and Shelley comes down there with the car, and basically Shelley's daughter comes out of a trailer, meets her mother, basically takes the car, has the gun, and Shelley freaks out when she sees the gun and knows the state of mind that her daughter's in. She leaps on the fucking hood of the car, and it's this insane scene, almost dreamlike, of her mother on the front hood of the car through the windshield as she's driving, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, is she going to kill her mother accidentally? I mean, I was like, what the fuck are they doing here? I was like, Jesus, because I mean, something could go wrong, person could fall off the hood, and then like if she is on that drug that I thought she might have been on, I don't know, then it's possible she'd accidentally run her over or something. It's hard to say. Anyway, so she's on the hood. Your daughter's riding around a bit on the grass, and then finally, she basically falls off the hood of the car, and then daughter goes to the boyfriend's apartment, insanely, like not in her right mind, insane, takes her gun and shoots through the door of the girlfriend, or I guess he was cheating on her. So there's a girlfriend involved. So he goes in, she knows where this person is. She goes to that door and puts like 5 or 6 bullets through the front door. Meanwhile, they're hiding in a stairwell, and it's this really cool scene of the camera floating and moving around the apartment building to take us into that stairwell. That was a really cool shot. I really like that a lot. Um, but yeah, he's basically a piece of shit. I kind of felt that from the moment he met Mike and was basically trying to get a job. I just was like, okay, I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. Not as much as I dislike Richard Horn. That would take a hell of a lot. I mean, Richard Horn, I think, is, possibly the son of Doppelcooper, for God's sake. His inclinations are very similar, like to Bob. He's really scary. I was comparing him previously to Leo and saying that he was even worse than Leo Johnson. Um, and that takes a lot. That takes a hell of a lot. And unlike Leo, I don't think he'll get any level of redemption. Leo at least tried to do his best to save Shelley when he found out that Wyndham Earl planned on killing someone at the Miss Twin Peaks contest in season 2. But I don't think Richard is going to have that moment. I think he's like nearly pure evil. I don't know. I mean, if Audrey is his mother and Doppelkoop is his father, I mean, there should be some decency in him, Audrey. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maniac, good to see you, Maniac. Another interesting thing that was pointed out to me today that I didn't know, Deputy Andy has a Rolex. Now, that's interesting. I don't know how in the hell Andy and Lucy would have that kind of money, especially on a deputy's salary, where he'd be able to have a Rolex. So I'm interested to see how that's answered. I'm hoping to God he's not in with things with Chad, because it seems like Chad hates him for one thing, and I really don't want to find out that Andy's a bad guy. That would crush me. That would be like finding out Hawk was a bad guy. That would be so upsetting. And then also not seeing any clues there to lead to that is also an issue, because you can have reveals like that, but like when Grant Morrison does amazing reveals like that in a comic book, he will go, and there'll be things you can look at after the story and be like, oh, those were the hints, those were the clues, you know? And a great writer, that's what they do. So this would be really out of left field if Andy is bad. I'm hoping he isn't. But it's hard to explain how he has what is probably at least a $10,000 watch. I don't know how much, that version of a Rolex is, but I know that I believe they're around 10 grand if you want to buy one. They're not cheap. So yeah, it was just something I was made aware of, and I was like, well, we should talk about that real quick. Should bring that up quick. Shelly's daughter, just out of her mind. Just, wow. What was really interesting, though, is seeing Shelly freak out, and then Carl Rod, the owner of the Fat Trout Trailer Park, where the daughter lives, actually goes with Shelly into Twin Peaks and helps her, take care of everything that she has to take care of. So that was pretty neat. It takes her to Double R, basically. And that was cool. I like Carl Rod. I like, oh my God, Dean. I can't remember his name now. I feel terrible. I so apologize, everybody. But the actor's amazing. He's actually in a new movie that's coming out that David's in. He was in Straight Story. He's such a great actor. Oh my God. Big Love. So good in there. But yeah, just an awesome actor. It gives a great natural performance. A powerful and emotional natural performance. Not like stilted and not like flat. It's very impressive what he does. And for the love of God, I can't remember his name. Harry Dean Stanton. There we go. There we go. I knew if I kept talking about him, we'd remember. Harry Dean Stanton. Great actor. Great actor. He's worked with Lynch a number of times. He's in like 4 of his movies. Okay, I'm happy we remembered that. Now we have the cool scene, well, cool and bewildering scene of Bobby Briggs at the Double R with Shelly, his, I guess, ex-wife, because she's Shelly Briggs. Actually showing, a lot of compassion and care for his daughter, Shelly's daughter, who's also his daughter by extension. And Red shows up. All we know about Red is that he was sweet on Shelly, and we find out more that they're probably dating, it seems like. There's definitely something going on between both of them. Well, Red is also possibly a drug dealer, unless he's undercover, which I really doubt. She just has a thing for the bad boys. And Red seems like to be a really bad boy. And the drug he has may have allowed him to pause a coin in midair. I don't know. I'm still trying to piece together what we saw, and I want to say episode 6 or 7 with Red in regards to that. And I just don't freaking know. It's crazy. And by the way, there's my damn fine coffee and my cruller. I'm actually going to take a bite of the cruller right here. It's really good. It's actually a Krispy Kreme. By the way, if you haven't caught this before, I usually have either a slice of pie, usually cherry, or a donut with damn fine coffee. And Prince, how you doing? Hot cocoa and coffee. It is. You're pretty close. It's like a taster's choice type of thing. But this is a real donut. I'm not a big coffee drinker, and I can't have too much caffeine. Actually, I have to limit my caffeine intake. I know that's pussy-ish, but it's, I'm impressed though. This is the 11th episode I've done. You're the first person to catch that. That's impressive. Hello. So where were we? Oh, the insanity. So we have Bobby Briggs after he's trying to, talk to his daughter and basically talk her down and kind of like, comfort her, all of a sudden gunshots into Double R. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? It was insane. At first, my thought was because Red was at the Double R to see Shelly, maybe one of the his rival gangs in Twin Peaks. I don't know how Twin Peaks works in that regard. We don't know exactly, but maybe they tried to, shoot the place up because they saw Red. That's all I could think out. But it was a little kid. A little kid in the car grabs a gun and he shoots it in the window. And Bobby goes out there to take care of it, and it was fascinating because Bobby sees the father and mother in almost like slow motion, and it's like he's like weirded out by things. And I feel that what's happening is we're supposed to get the idea that Twin Peaks is becoming more and more dangerous and more crime is happening there because something is going to happen. Like, we're building up to something really scary in the town. I'm very sure of that at this point. And I don't think it's just Twin Peaks. I think we're supposed to be seeing a lot of violent things all throughout at least the United States, if not the world. Although I don't know how many scenes across the world they're going to have. I don't expect anything except what we did see was Buenos Aires in one episode. But I don't expect to see a lot of other countries or anything like that. So, yeah, that was interesting. And I'm trying to figure out if there was a connection to the people we saw in that car, if we're going to see them again, because this show likes to play fun games and show us a character and make us think that we're never going to see him again, and then bring them back 5 episodes later, and they'll be important. It's pretty wild. It's really impressive, I think, what David Lynch and Mark Frost have done in that regard. But yeah, that's a really weird scene. I mean, unpacking that's crazy. You have a young woman that's in the car that looks like she's like contorting like The Exorcist, and then she just starts spitting up this weird fluid, and I mean, it looked like something out of a horror movie, and Bobby's reaction was odd too. It was a hell of a scene though. It was really interesting. It's like a traffic jam, and the M. Night Shyamalan Moo show. No, David Lynch. David Lynch. The M. Night Shyamalan show is the what was that? Wayward Pines, based on a series of books. And I will say that season 1 was pretty damn awesome. I did not like season 2 of Wayward Pines, though. I felt like they were ready to finish it with that one season, had a good ending, and then Fox was like, hey, let's have another season. And they were like, I guess, give us money and we'll do it. It really isn't good. Season 2 has some cool performances, but the writing is pretty weak in Wayward Pines. I will say, at least for season 1, it's a unique story that I thought would be a lot like Twin Peaks, which wasn't. There's a great reveal that's nothing at all like Twin Peaks that happens, and you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Because, yeah, Fox marketed it like Twin Peaks, a lot like Twin Peaks. Let's see here. So we got the Bobby Briggs stuff taken care of. Oh! I'm trying to figure out where we should go because it's all craziness, okay? I think we're going to go with Cooper. So the Mitchum brothers, played by Robert Knepper and Jim Belushi. Again, I give props to Jim Belushi. This is a different performance than I've ever seen him give. A very different performance. I really like it a lot. They're basically mob brothers. I'd say mob bosses, but we haven't seen their extended family. They just seem like they're both gangsters and they're brothers, okay? And they're like ready to kill Cooper. They're pissed off. They want Cooper dead, and they think Cooper is Dougie Jones. And they think that Dougie Jones did 2 things. He went to their casino and got $470,000. And then also he denied, because he works at the insurance company, he denied a claim for $30 million that they should have gotten. So they really have a reason to kill him, okay? But Jim Belushi's character, I forget his name, just that he's one of the two Mitchum brothers. He's like, I had a dream last night. And he just mentions this to Robert Knepper, and Robert doesn't think too much of it, and they're having cereal. And there's this funny scene where it's 2:30 in the afternoon, and you see Jim Belushi, and he's like, ooh, ooh, and And Robert Knepper is like, what's wrong? He's like, oh, I can hardly wait to kill Dougie Jones. And it's just ridiculous and over the top hilarious. It's just like he's got this rage in him that he has to let out by killing somebody. In this case, Dougie Jones. And he's like, can you wait till 5:30? Because that's when they planned on doing it. And it was 2:30 when they were having breakfast. So I thought that was really funny and absurd. Anyway, Dougie Jones, who again, well, it's Cooper, but everyone thinks he's Dougie. He's still like catatonic and only is really repeating things that people say to him. And his boss is like, we just looked into everything, and the Mitchum brothers should be getting that money. Here's a check to give them, $30 million. The ooh thing, it reminded me of Super Troopers. Really? Really? It's good to see a pistol. So yeah, he's got to check the $30 million, and unbeknownst to the Mitchum brothers, and he's sent by his boss, Bud, to go see the Mitchum brothers and give them the check and basically smooth over everything with them. And he knows they're, they can be dangerous, but he's like, how are they going to be upset with a $30 million check? So Dougie's leaving to go and get into a limo to take him to where the Mitchum brothers are going to meet him. Well, before that happens, he sees Cezina's coffee, and he's basically sees the Black Lodge at the door and Mike inside the Black Lodge beckoning him to go into the coffee shop. This is where it gets interesting. Cezina's, I believe, beginning with an S, but the big part of their marquee is a giant capital Z. We saw a giant capital Z in the first episode with the glass box. Tracy, who is basically very curious and wanted to see what was in the glass box, she had a giant capital Z on her outfit. So she could have been a barista at another Cezina's. So I don't think that has a straight up reference to the craziness in Twin Peaks, but I think it is another reference to the same company that makes coffee. So he goes in there, he comes out with a big giant box that he's holding. And his boss Bud is like, Dougie, what's going on? And basically beckons Dougie to go into the limo, which he does with the giant box. So then the limo goes out into the desert. And you're like, well, this isn't going to be good. And sure enough, limo stops. The Mitchum brothers are standing outside as Dougie is escorted out by the limo driver, and they tell the limo driver to leave. And Cooper, but everyone thinks he's Dougie, sorry about that, has a giant box in his hands. Okay? Then, Jim Belushi goes, remember that dream I was telling you about? That dream I had last night? And Robert Knepper is like, yeah, what about it? And he's like, this is like part of that dream. And earlier, when the Mitchum brothers were coming up to the desert area themselves, he's like, in my dream, that scar that Candy is a dancer that works at the nightclub, but she's kind of ditzy. In the dream, that scar that Candy gave you, that's gone. It's completely healed. So sure enough, he takes the bandage off, and this scar from like 2 days ago completely healed. And it looked pretty severe, but it's just completely healed. So that's credence he has to listen to his brother about his crazy dream. And he says, in that box, if there's one specific thing in this planet, in that box, then this man is not our enemy, this man is our friend, and we cannot kill him. And Robert Knepper is like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? And then Belushi goes up to him and whispers what it is. And Robert Knepper points the gun at Coop. And he's like, in that box, Dougie, because again, they think he's Dougie, in that box is what you have, a cherry pie. And no shit, the box is opened and you see a full cherry pie is in the box. And then Dougie and the Mitchum brothers basically become friends. And the Mitchum brothers, instead of killing Dougie, find the check that's in his jacket, and they're thrilled that if they got the $30 million, they take him out to dinner, okay, where he's eating a ton of cherry pie. And it's great because you have the revelation that it looks like he's coming back soon. It looks like we're going to be getting our Coop back. And it's this funny scene where the woman who calls him Mr. Jackpots, who is at the casino, sees him and says how he changed her life and how she's reunited with her son and she has a home again because Mr. Jackpots, Coop, basically told her what to bet or what machines to use at the casino. So that was a great scene. Well, you have your pastry. It looks like a hoagie bun dipped in glass shards. That is what it is, Pistol. That's exactly what it is. No, it's a cruller. It's from Krispy Kreme. It's a cruller. It's good. Twin Peaks is about donuts and pie. So I was like, I think we'll have a donut. I completely disagree, Pistol. I like them a lot more than Dunkin' Donuts. A lot more. I prefer like family bakeries too. We have some really good ones in Wisconsin. One is called Moyer. Another one is called Canfora. But yeah, Dunkin' Donuts I do not like at all. They're weird and gritty tasting to me. There's like almost a greasiness, but it's not like a normal donut greasiness. It's hard to explain what it's like. And if you have a filled donut, there's never enough filling. I know, look at me. But yeah, there's never enough filling in a donut. But no, the worst thing is the actual consistency of it. So that's basically the entire Cooper/Dougie Jones storyline, which I will be shocked if we don't get Coop back next week. They have taken us so close to the brink of giving us Coop back. I will be shocked if he isn't fully back next week. Okay? Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Again, not me. The crazy, insane, and fucked up scenes that happened in Twin Peaks this week. First off, 3 kids are playing catch in the Fat Trout... Well, it looks like the Fat Trout Trailer Park. I think it is. That's never explicitly said. But they're playing, and all of a sudden, they see this thing in the grass, and it looks like an animal wounded, because we don't see it well. It's from far away. They get closer. It's Miriam from the previous episode, and she's battered and bloody, and she's in the grass, and she's crawling, and she's asking for help. So this is after a grandson of the year, Richard Horn goes and basically brutalizes her and then sets up her her trailer to explode. Luckily, she was able to get out before it exploded, so that was good. And it seems like she crawled her way over to this area, and luckily these kids found her. So hopefully she's going to be able to talk to Agent Truman or Hawk about Dickhead, also known as Richard Horn. Well, I don't like Dunkin' Donuts. I do sometimes like to dunk a donut. So there's that scene. You know, it might be the Fat Trout Trailer Bar, because I think it's the same place that Shelly's daughter has her freak out moment. Now, things get amazing. We basically get an answer to something we've wanted for a long time. Well, it's not just for a plate, but I figured for Twin Peaks it makes sense for you to see the cup and the donut or piece of pie as I'm enjoying it. It just made sense to me. I knew I would have the camera for the Lego builds and all that. I was like, you know what? I should find a way to incorporate it when I do talk shows. And I thought it was a good way to do it. So, now we get to the insanity. Back in South Dakota, they had got coordinates. and they followed them. And it was Chief Gordon Cole, Tammy Preston, and Albert Rosenfield. They show up with cops from South Dakota. And wow, what an amazing and awesome scene. As they get there, Albert and Cole see a man in the backyard phase in and out of reality. And they are not surprised. They're like a little bit, you know, that's not a normal thing, but as if they have seen this before. And that almost definitely says that the Blue Rose cases are supernatural cases. Because, yeah, if you saw a man appear and disappear from back and forth, I think you'd be surprised and freaked out. And like, what in the shit is that? Also, Diane sees this and seems to not think it's that much either. So that's right there. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. So, Cole, played by David Lynch, walks up to this small house. As he gets closer to the house, there's amazing camera work that's done where he's like appearing and disappearing in reality. And Albert, just a few feet behind him, at one point doesn't see him and reaches out and pulls him back. Cole sees a rift in time and space in the sky. And when he looks through the rift, he sees a staircase, which is in one of the first Twin Peaks previews, by the way. A staircase in like a dirty house, it looks like, with 2 or 3 men standing on the stairs. And it's the Woodsman. It's the Woodsman again from episode 8. And I was like, oh my god. I think Jim Belushi's performance is really good, Mr. Try. It's unlike anything I've seen him do. It's him stretching himself as an actor, and I really like the scenes with him and Robert Knepper. I was very happy that last week we got to see them again, because I was like, that one scene we had was just like, is that really all we're going to get? So, the Woodsman is appearing and disappearing in reality, okay? And he, like, appears, goes about 5-10 feet, disappears. Then he's about 5 feet further, appears again. Phases, it's the only word I can know to use, phases into the police car with Hastings, William Hastings. He's in it. And he crushes his head, like the head crusher, in Kids in the Hall, more violently though, and the got a light, got a light, got a light, got a light guy that was in episode 8, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, it's insane. And it's funny because then you see the agents talking to the cops later, and they're basically can't really say the person phased in and out of reality or anything because it's a Blue Rose case. And it's need to know. Very few people, I think even in the FBI, know about the Blue Rose cases. We know for a fact that Sam Stanley in Fire Walk With Me didn't know what the Blue Rose cases were. So it's not every member of the FBI that does know. And I guess Tamara Preston must know because she's involved in the book that came out. They were the Woodsmen, the evil Woodsmen. That was, you know how they say in a room above a convenience store, even though it was a house? I think they consider a convenience store a dwelling where people live because they use people. I think that's the term. I know we saw a convenience store in episode 8, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be a convenience store. It might have been called that because that was the first built dwelling that they found. If you remember carefully, Mike says, when Philip Gerard's off the drugs, he becomes Mike, right? Mike says, we live above I think you'd say, a convenience store. We live above it. As if he's not sure it's called a convenience store. Yeah, so that's why that guy's head gets crushed. Because the evil woodsman comes in and does that to him. He's worried about him giving more information. That's really interesting to me. And I don't know about you, Mr. Try. They said, do you think one of them is going to be inside? I think somehow Cole has seen these things before. Cole seemed somewhat nonplussed at the sight of what he saw. And I'm sitting there like, oh my god, the rift in the sky was amazing. I was like, at first I thought, but you know who else did Mr. Try? Diane. That's really worrisome. Diane also seemed. If you notice, the cop was freaked out, like, what the hell's going on? And he did not even see the person phasing in and out and all that, the woodsman. Diane did. And Diane could be in cahoots with Cooper. Doppelkoop. Does anyone have any other questions on Twin Peaks at all? Or anything they want to suggest? Well, yeah, I thought it was a damn good episode. I will be amazed if we don't get Coop in the next episode. Because they are really ratcheting things up. They've now saved... Cooper's ass has been saved now 3 times. And in literature, things always happen in 3s. So, you have... First time... Actually, no, before. So we're on beyond the 3. First time, he ducks down, grabs his keys, avoids getting killed by the gunman by his house. Okay. Then, we have Ike the Spike attempt to kill him. Okay. The Mitchum brothers. Okay. And the Black Lodge helps him in the casino, so he gets the money to pay off the gangsters. I know, Mr. Try, I think the point they're getting at is people are becoming much worse. That there's something happening to people. And it might have to do with the insane designer drug. I don't know. Because Shelley's daughter was really frightening with the gun shooting through the door and everything. And they played that nightmare type music when Shelley's daughter was in her trailer. That it was like almost the evil music they play, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? Oh, I know. I know what the hell was with that. And it was like the Exorcist. It was like the kid was contorted and everything. I was like sitting there and I'm like, what the hell is going on? What was your favorite scene, Mr. Try? Or anyone watching, what was your favorite scene? I know. I love this. It's like his best acting that I've seen. I've seen Dana Ashbrook in a number of things. That scene was amazing. It wasn't quirky. It was heartfelt. It was very real. Did you notice? Is it just me, or do these performances seem most of these performances seem a lot more grounded than the original Twin Peaks? I mean, I'm not talking about Andy. I'm not talking about Lucy. I'm not talking about Truman's crazy ex-wife. I'm talking about most of the characters have a grounded, more emotional performance. And I think part of it also feels that way because there's not a lot of background music anymore. Certain scenes have music, but now I'm starting to think it was ABC that pretty much demanded music all the way through Twin Peaks. You know, almost every scene in Twin Peaks had music, the original series. And I'm thinking, because if you remember, Fire Walk with Me had long moments too without background music. I think there are times when David doesn't want it. And maybe didn't want it initially. Well, I think the idea is that quirkiness and like a meanness, an evil, is going to be not just in Twin Peaks, it's all over. I'm wondering if where that house is, if that's where a ley line is in South Dakota. Because I really think we're getting to the point where we find out the Black Lodge is at a ley line, and whatever the hell is happening in the sky there is a ley line. I think that's where we're headed, especially with Mark Frost being part of this. Oh my god, how amazing was the scene with the log lady and Hawk with the fucking map? And I think the fucking map is in the Twin Peaks book. I believe a number of things are mentioned in that book. A ring, which is the ring you're thinking of, with the Owl Cave symbol. The map, I could swear there were 3 or 4 items in the book. Man, I'm amazed that David Lynch let Mark Frost just go to town like that. All those cool reveals and things you knew about before watching the show. Usually those tie-in books are complete bullshit, man, but I had a feeling that with Mark Frost being involved, it wouldn't be. Also, Mark Frost, actually a novelist. He got his, I think one of the first shows he did, I could be wrong about the first, one of the main ones was Hill Street Blues. So he proved to be a good TV writer. And I'm amazed, too, that he didn't turn out to be, like, completely formulaic compared to David. Their sensibilities are awesome together. You know, if this is the end of Twin Peaks, part of me wishes Showtime would go to David and Mark and be like, do you have something new? Where can you take us next? Because, again, if they have a way to end this in 7 episodes that's going to be amazing and awesome, then I feel that should be the end of Twin Peaks and just be floored by what happens. And then if they're like, do you have something new for us? Keep in mind, the guy that they dealt with at Showtime worked with them at ABC. He was part of the whole thing of the original Twin Peaks. That's why he was so stoked about bringing it back and having it on Showtime. So I'm hoping that this does well enough. I don't know if people have been constantly canceling their subscriptions, how this works. But I know they had some of the most signups for any show ever. Do you think they can give it a satisfying conclusion in 7 more hours? Because it's, I believe, 6 more episodes, but one of the final episode is 2 hours. That's why David always broke it down into it's 18 hours, not 18 episodes. I mean, I'm really impressed with it. I'm impressed that things we thought were unimportant are very important. They came back to the Woodsman. I was like, what in the fuck was that? Technically, they're in Fire Walk with Me as well. And here's something that could blow your damn mind. We don't know that everyone above the convenience store with Bob and Mike was evil. Those woodsmen weren't burnt. Keep that in mind. The woodsmen weren't burnt. I know, and he had his head hollowed out, just like when Mother attacked him. I know. But he gave an amazing performance in the previous episode, and I thought gave a strong performance in the first 2 hours as well. So, if anything, I hope that more people will hire Matthew Lillard, because I think he's a damn good actor. You know, he's the voice of Scooby too, right? I'm sorry, Shaggy. Why do I keep saying Scooby? He's the voice of Shaggy, and he does an amazing job with that too. Like, it is so close to the original voice actor, Casey Kasem, it's insane. But it's neat because it's not like he's aping Casey Kasem. It's Casey, but it's not. It's really good. Yeah, the mystery's been fascinating. And I'm wondering if those rifts are happening at all the ley lines. And it seemed like there was a force field or something, because the people in the car, a few of them could see the man phasing in and out, the woodsman, but no one was able to see the rift in time and space. Oh, and ooh. Cole saw the woodsman and the staircase. He did not see, I don't think he mentioned the giant rift in time and space, did he? The hole in the sky. Oh my god. And let's not forget the whole thing about the fire and the corn, but the diseased corn. Garmonbozia. That part was amazing. The map. And then the symbol. You don't ever want to know what that means. I don't? You don't. I'm like, oh shit. I mean, I'm thinking it's the mother of all abominations, but it could be something else. And even better, it seems then by him saying that Hawk knows what that is. And we know Mr. Coop wants to find it. Doppelkoop. So it's got to be really bad. It's got to be really bad. Didn't mention what? Because he does talk about the corn being diseased because of the color it looked like. And then he talks about, it's all on that map. He starts and then he shows the fire, and he's like, depends on the intention used. So it can be good or it could be bad. And then we see the black fire. That's like, oh, fuck, fire, walk with me type shit going on. Yeah. Ah, because remember, his arm was shaking too. He had to stop it. Just like in the Twin Peaks, where all of a sudden people's arms were shaking. Oh my god. It could be a time rift. That's possible. But I think it's like time and space. A place between time and space. So that's interesting then. So if the Woodmans are phasing between our reality and another one, why don't all the denizens of the lodge do that? The grandma and grandson must be separate from them, I'm guessing. Because we didn't see that with them. You see the little boy disappear during the Black Dog Runs at Night in Fire Walk with Me. But you don't see his mother, grandmother, and him disappear both together. Or it was kind of like he was there and then just completely gone. Not like he was just there and you couldn't see him. It's like he was there and disappeared. Magic, basically. But yeah, I was really happy with tonight's episode. I have an extremely strong opinion that it's going to end amazingly, this show. We still haven't seen Linda, right? Linda was not one of the people that was in that car accident, or a car thing, were they? I'm still wondering who Linda is. Yeah, interesting theory, too, that Linda and Richard are brother and sister. meaning that Double Coop is the father of both of them. The two birds with one stone thing. That might be what it means. Does anyone else have anything to add or any questions about Twin Peaks or David Lynch? Mr. Troy, how do you think these are going, these shows? Because like I used to do like exhaustive notes, but now I'm just basically doing things from memory, and when people mention things, I'm feeding off of that and going into. Do you feel this is better than me having the notes? Because I remember when I did the notes, there are times where I'd get lost in them, and I'd be like, "Well, did I say this?" Or do you think this is better? Thank you, Mr. Try. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, for me too, this is just the fact that you're like getting spoiled by getting a small David Lynch movie every week. Because he's directing every episode. So he stepped away from directing, or at least it seemed that way, to focus on transcendental meditation and what else? Painting. A great deal of painting. And I'm so happy he's back to doing film and possibly TV. You know, I mean TV for sure. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. TV and maybe film again. I heard about that. I heard about that, Mr. Try. It was funny. Yeah, it was funny because Jim thought it was amusing. He talks about he wasn't like angry at David Lynch. He was just like surprised. I forget what David said. David said something very specific. Yeah, I guess you don't ad-lib when it comes to David Lynch. He has exact words that he wants you to say. But yeah, the diseased corn could very well be the Garmonbozia. I don't think the Garmonbozia has to necessarily be creamed. I think it can just be diseased corn. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was, do I have to send you to the principal's office? Yes. That's a funny way for him to say it, too. Well, you know, it's funny. I always felt that Joss Whedon based the dialogue on the mayor from not Twin Peaks, the mayor from Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 3 on David Lynch. I think, like, I really feel that he was partially based on David Lynch, especially the dialogue. He talks about like, do I have to send you boys to the woodshed? You know, very like folksy. And I'm pretty sure Joss is a huge fan of David Lynch. I'd be surprised if he isn't. Most TV writers and creators have a debt to David Lynch, you know? Yeah, I always felt, every time I saw The Mayor, I was always thinking of David Lynch. But yeah, I thought it was a really damn good episode, and then we have another episode next Sunday. I think there might be a break between the second to last episode and then the 2-hour finale, but I don't know if that's true. It might be all the way through straight new episodes. I don't know. All I do know is, like, I think September 3rd, I think, is the final episode. But yeah, it's been really great. It's been really great. Might be a holiday. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Giving us a little break too to like get ready for that 2-hour finale. Like, oh my god. I mean, remember how insane the 2-hour finale was for Twin Peaks originally with season 2. My god, the final hour was spellbinding. And it was like, go. Like, the opening 5 minutes took place at the sheriff's station, roughly. And then, like, Log Lady comes in. I think Briggs came in. 2 or 3 people just walk right in and basically push the episode further. And then in, like, 7 minutes, 8 minutes in, Coop is already into the Black Lodge. I mean, it was pretty crazy. That's a hell of a final hour of TV, let me tell you. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more about the evolution of the arm, and then a doppelganger of the evolution of the arm. I wonder if it'd be something real simple for a name for that thing, like evolution of the arm and de-evolution of the arm. That'd be kind of funny. Because the other version looks like it's somewhat diseased. If you looked at its face, it was like yellow and jaundice looking. Oh yeah, the end of season 2 is wild. I need to brush my teeth. Walks into the bathroom. How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? It was like, oh my god. I was like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's one of the darkest endings I ever saw. And then when it was the end, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, that's such a cliffhanger. So I wonder how we would have gotten Coop back if it wasn't the 25 years between. Because I'm pretty certain these events wouldn't have occurred this way. Oh, I know. It was like Evil won. And you rarely see that. Evil winning is very rare. And it's hard to take. Like on Game of Thrones, there are a lot of times when evil wins. Like the Red Wedding. As a viewer, as a human being, we're not used to the bad guy winning. The evil prevailing. That's why I think they do that horror movie sting where like it looks like everything's good, they defeated the enemy, and then something terrible happens, and like, oh no, we're headed towards the sequel. Just like the end of one of my favorite horror movies of all time, the original Nightmare on Elm Street by Wes Craven. There's that ending where it seems that like they're still dreaming. But yeah, I really have been enjoying this season 3. I think it's great. I feel bad for all the people that have just stepped away from it. I feel they don't know what they're really missing. I truly think, Mr. Try, do you think we'll get Coop back next week? Because I honestly don't think it's just the 2-hour finale that we get Coop back. Because it's not like Coop comes back, immediately knows where the other Coop is, and, fights him. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think we need to build up to that. I think he might have to come back to Twin Peaks and speak with Hawk. I think elements have to occur naturally. I don't think it's just a simple wait till the extremely last minute, bring him back, and then he just fights the other Cooper. I don't think it's going to be like that. I do like how much they're using Mike, though, in the Black Lodge. He's like, come into the coffee shop. That was pretty great. Like, at first, I thought inexplicably that there was a way right there and then for Coop to just walk through that door and be in the Black Lodge again. And I'm like, that would get him away from possibly being killed by the two brothers. And I was like, well, I would hope they explain how this can happen now, if that's what they did. Because why didn't that happen sooner? It'd be very convenient if at that moment that happened. But yeah, everybody, I want to thank you all for watching. You have been awesome. And this was Answers in a World of Blue. And yeah, thank you very much. I am Hoarder Gamer, your host for Answers in a World of Blue. We'll be back next week at 10:30 p.m. Central to discuss, I believe it's episode 12. I think we're at 12 next week. And yeah, I hope you guys watch this and enjoy it. And if you have suggestions, let me know. Also, pretty soon these will be on YouTube. I'm guessing the next day or two I'm going to start putting them on YouTube. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.